Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of Movie Combat. My name is Ryan A. Moore. Joining me is,
I'm Nate. Still
and
here.
yeah, still here after four movies so far, and
Yep. They haven't been that bad.
they have not been that bad. The thing about all this is we actually are recording this episode. I'm gonna out ourselves here because I just want to make it very brought to everyone's attention that we are recording this a long time after the big incident that's happening right at the current moment in time, and because of that, we slowed down on a lot of our production here.
Really
Primal Target,
smart.
yeah. And so we were like, you know what? We gotta finish Movie Combat season 2. So as of recently, we've been like posting them and we've been hearing your guys' feedback. So keep giving us feedback. We're gonna keep posting these as much as we possibly can. But this is Rogue One. We actually watched a long time ago, and then we had to rewatch it recently so that we could get back into the motion of things. So this is the only movie that we'll watch twice, essentially, is what I'm getting at here. But for the most part, Nate, what movie did we watch, and where do you want to start with it?
We watched Rogue One, kind of the first of the anthology films that Disney tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely one that I think it's gotten better and better each time I've seen it. I've probably seen it like 4 times, beginning to end now. But yeah, it definitely grows on you. It's probably the most, I guess we'll say, action packed, especially the ones you've watched so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, we saw
Um,
Solo. Solo was a little
yep.
action packed.
Yeah. Would you put it over Rogue One though?
No, but we'll get to that later.
Just in terms of the action.
Yeah. Oh, before we get any farther, and I'm probably already caught flack of this, but I did terrible math in the last episode. Solo got a 7.9 and not a 7.5. I don't know what I was reading off. A 7.7 plus a 8 divided by 2 is 7.9. So I just want to clarify that it was not a 7.5. Anyway,
Sabotaged it.
I did sabotage it. So it actually got a better score than it did. But yeah, I mean, so this is the first one that they decided to make that wasn't a mainline Star Wars movie. Solo, it just weirdly enough comes before it in the timeline, so that's why we watched it
Right.
first. But Rogue One definitely had the first time it felt different, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Talked about that with the no crawl and whatnot.
exactly. How did you feel about You asked me about that when we were watching it, but how do you feel about the no crawl that happened in the movie?
It was definitely weird. Like it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing it in theaters. Like it didn't feel like a Star Wars film in the very beginning. It felt a little different until it kind of got going, and then you got in the kind of the rhythm of the style that it had and whatnot. Especially coming off of the sequel trilogy, it has like kind of a different feel and tone than those.
Yeah, it was so going through my little breakout thing here that I usually obviously the crawl not available, didn't exist. I have a bad feeling about this was said 0.75 we gave it a 0.75
Yeah.
because of why.
Oh, you talking when the I think there's an elevator scene, and then they're about to say it, and then it gets cut off. I think one of them says "shut up" or something.
Yeah, it was what was the droid's name? You remember the droid's name? I
Oh,
can look up it on it.
K2SO.
Yeah, he goes, I have a bad feel, and then they cut him off immediately. Yeah, and then tell him to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
There is one lightsaber moment. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to get to that in a second? Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
We can talk to that at the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because it was the pinnacle of this movie here. Then there's one space battle this whole time. There's a lot of
Best
fighting.
space battle
Go ahead.
of the series, I think.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, the space battle is definitely super epic. It's
Hmm.
fast. Shit's happening all over the place.
It's like I mentioned. It's like Battlefront in space, in Battlefront the movie,
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there. R2 does not come in clutch at all in this movie,
Makes an appearance.
but he does make an appearance along with C3PO. A little
Yeah.
fan service there. Lightspeed is kicked in 5 times as of what I counted. They go to 8 planets in this movie,
Wow.
which I think is taken number 1 on that one. They are the movie that shows 8 different planets. They go to Jeddah. They go to Yavin 4. They go to oh my god. They go to Mustafar, Scarif.
Oh, that's right.
Um, I don't think we got the beginning planet that they were on. I wrote Scoundrel Planet because after watching this a second time, I'm like, we
Oh,
did
yeah,
watch
yeah.
this multiple times. So the Scoundrel Planet, I don't know what that one
Yeah.
was.
I can't remember either. I remember making a comment about it, like, "Oh, I really like to see
Oh, this is the one that
see
what's his
more of
face
this
is
city."
on.
Yep,
Yeah, okay. Where he shoots.
Cassian.
Yeah, Cassian is on, and then Wobani. I don't know. That's not a.
Oh, yeah, that's the prison planet that she's on.
Oh, okay. And yeah, that's about it. So,
Okay.
I sense a disturbance in
Very
the.
very galactic movie.
It is very galactic. A lot of different. It really opens up the Star Wars world in this one. They
Even though a lot of the planets are very like brief, but
Mm-hmm. I sense a disturbance in the Force is said 0 times because there's no Jedi. Jedi powers are used 6 times. Again, we will get to that in a second. And may the Force be with you is said 3 times. Jen says it. Some guy over the intercom says it, and then
yeah, we didn't catch that the first time.
yeah, didn't catch it the first time, and then it was actually kind of a good thing we saw it a second time, and then the third time, one of the Mon Calamari guys says it. So,
Okay.
the Admiral that was there, that
Yeah,
wasn't
not
Akbar.
Akbar, but the other guy from his race.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was about it on that one.
Now, what's the actor's name that plays the monk guy? Don. Is it Don or Donnie?
See, I'm looking up the IMDb right now, but
Oh, okay.
go on your point and I'll figure it out.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like he might have at least came close to saying servants in the Force, but I think he might have said something slightly different.
Who'd you Donnie?
Donnie Yen. That's his name. It looks like the character he played was Sharut.
Oh, I guess yeah. He okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if he fully said it, but I feel like I know he was talking about like he
That's Ip
could tell
Man
bad
for a
people.
lot of our
Yep, yep.
kung fu fans there. Yeah, but like so he may have said it. He may have said it. I didn't keep track when we watched it the second time. So yeah, that was
If
kind
we
of
didn't catch it twice, I guess it didn't happen.
Yeah. But a lot of big actors in this movie that definitely put them into the like Star Wars universe as well. So, but I thought a lot of the characters were just great. They're just I don't know. There's so many that are I don't know. I think that where some Star Wars movies try to forcibly, no pun intended, get a lot of their characters across and really like hammer them down your throat to like, hey, like this person. This movie didn't do that, and you kind of just eventually
Yeah.
liked them. Like you just
I think it might be because a lot of them, some of them are not inherently good or bad. Like I feel like a lot of them are in the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
Jin and Cassian, like they've all had kind of a questionable past. So it's not like Rey where, like she's being set up as this 100% protagonist character kind of.
Yeah, and so we see some characters that are not that have no connection later on in the series. Obviously, we get
Right.
and then we have some characters that are heavily involved into the next couple of movies. And I don't know, there was a lot of callbacks, there's a lot of setup to eventually the end of the movie being that the fact that it is right into it's right into episode 4,
Right. Yeah, it's interestingly like the end of the arc for a lot of characters, so it kind of sets up stuff before Rogue One, but it kind of like yeah, by the end of it, it's time for a new hope. Like all those Rogue One storylines are kind of
Which they do make
are done.
several references to of there's no hope, we can't do this, there's no hope.
Oh yeah, that was their favorite thing to do. And then by the end of it, hope is back.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. To me, this movie, I think is just put into. It is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Like of it just is a Star Wars movie through and through from beginning to the end, and it shot as I was kind of talking with you about this before was the fact that the movie looks like how the Mandalorian is, and it seems like the Mandalorian now that we know that what the Mandalorian season 1 looks like and whatnot,
Right.
and then Rogue One and Solo, they all kind of look consistently the same, like aesthetically with colors and shot relatively the same way. Whereas when you look at the newer trilogy, the 7 through 9, they still look like the past
different.
movies, except obviously 4, 5, and 6 because it's just technology. But I mean, they kind of look almost the same, but there's still enough difference that Rogue One and Solo and The Mandalorian all kind of look kind of the same. And
Yeah.
I
That makes me excited for the Cassian Andor series, kind of.
yeah. So
I know you're not super excited for that one.
I am not super excited of it because I'd rather have had I always Jin. Yeah, Jin,
Yep.
Felicity Jones' character, and I would have rather have seen hers because what did she was left stranded by Forrest Whitaker's character. We just know that. So apparently she was being trained for something. She had believed in the Resistance at first, or the rebels at first, but then doesn't anymore, and eventually comes back to terms into believing into the cause again. But like.
Right.
There's so much left of that character I would definitely love to see more of.
Yeah, all the untold stuff.
Yeah. Because obviously those two have never met, so we're never going to see her character come back unless she gets her own show.
Yep.
And then also the was it Sharut and Baz or Baze?
Oh yeah, you're talking about how you'd watch a show with those two.
Yeah, I would watch a show with those two because like he's obviously force sensitive, and so
Yes.
we don't know exactly how force sensitive he is. He just knows the ways of the force. He's blind, and he clearly uses the force to defeat any enemies that come up against him. So
Right. Yeah, I think we know that he was never. He was always like a monk. He's always like a guardian, but yeah, we don't know. I don't think if he's been blind the whole time.
yeah,
Or yeah, he would definitely be interesting.
but he is at this place that is the last of the kyber crystals, which this is where we get confirmed that the Death Star is using kyber crystals. To like
I think in terms of the movies, yes.
Yeah, it's the first. Yeah, this is the time we get the canon of this is how that works kind of thing. So how did you? Let me ask you this: how did you feel about all the explanation? Because essentially, Rogue One sets up Episode 4, and like tells you everything, the reasons why, like why is there this like little vent thing? Like how do they know? Where did the plans come from? How is this movie
how
starting?
it explains that.
Yeah, it
almost like plot holes, kind of.
Yeah, essentially, Rogue One is like the spackle to what Episode 4. Very little complaints that a lot of people had about it. So
Yeah.
how did you feel about that?
I mean, I love it. I love how it goes like literally right up until like 4 starts. It's almost like you have to watch them like together,
Mm-hmm.
even though the styles would be kind of completely different. It might be kind of shocking change, but
So what are
I mean,
some
I like it a lot.
what are some cool scenes that you liked about it?
And Rogue One,
Yeah.
just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you see, so for me, Rogue One, it's kind of. I think I kind of still feel this way. I think it's pretty mediocre until the final act. But once you get the space battle and the like invasion of Scarif on the beaches, I think that's just such a high point. It just pushes it all the way up.
Yeah.
There is one other cool scene before then when they're on the where the planet where they're researching where the Death Star research team is. I think that's a really cool scene where the X-wings come in and they bomb the facility, trying to take out Jin's
I
dad.
think that's Jeddah.
Jedda's
Or
the
Edu, or
Edu. It's
Edu? E-A, yeah,
Yes.
Edu. Okay, yeah. That's not how you
Yeah, I
spell
was
it. I
also
think
gonna
you
say
spell it
something else with
Cheddar.
an E, and I was like, oh no, that's not correct. But yeah, Edu I think is also a really great scene. I just love how like I mentioned when we watched it, how like precise and efficient the rebellion seems at this point. It's just we're gonna send this like squadron of X-wings in, and we're gonna take out this facility, and then they're in there and they're out, and then really effective.
Yeah, I think definitely on Scarif, to me, that is probably the best land battle that I think is in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, it puts like Return of the Jedi to shame, I
Oh
think.
yeah, there's that shot of where they're just firing. They're like, yeah, go go go. We're like shit's happening, and all of a sudden, they out of the fog is this AT-AT, and
Oh
you're like,
yeah,
oh, go 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 go, and like they start running. That scene is shot so well. The colors, the blues, the grays, like
yeah, it's very vibrant.
it's so shot well. Like this movie looks fantastic in 4K, and I think it was the first time. No, this one. This is the first one in
that's
4K.
natively in 4K.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, so that's probably why it looks a little bit better than a lot of the other movies. But like, man, that scene is still one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars.
And it's a unique setting. Like I think that's the first time. Maybe I mean it might have been in some of the video games that we've got like a beach.
Yeah, tropical sort of look.
Yeah.
I would
Very
say so.
unique.
Yeah. Unless they did it in like like the games. I don't.
Yeah,
really...
I think there might be a game, but even then, it probably has like some PS2 graphics. So.
Well, I don't really. I don't really remember Force Unleashed having anything like that, so I couldn't say any. Those are like the extent of my Star Wars.
And Jedi Fallen Order, I mean, you know, I think you go to Kashyyyk. That's probably as tropical as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really cool. You know, we talked about how where's this director? Where's he been? Why is he and apparently he's done nothing. Really. Yeah, he's
on the paycheck still.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. He made a feature, like he made an appearance in episode 8, I believe. And then
they love to do that.
And this is also the director of Godzilla. So the first Godzilla reboot movie of the reboots. So like in that universe of Godzilla and King Kong and Godzilla King of Monsters.
Same year as this? Wasn't it like 2016? I mean, it had to be maybe like 2017. I can't imagine he had 2 movies in the same year.
Fill time. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm looking right now, but they're
definitely really close. So he had like a little. Yeah, he's probably sitting on his nice little paychecks from those 2 movies.
No, Godzilla, the first one came out in 2014, and then Rogue One came out in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why he's not. He's kind of out of work.
Yeah,
unless
but
he's like
this was last
producing
movie
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely one of the better shot movies. I think because this is where I was talking about Solo and the last couple movies, or not couple movies, but like Solo specifically, and then the last couple movies were just mainly because it's like
the newer
just
ones,
make a good
the
1, 2, 1, the prequels. Whereas 1, 2, and 3, those movies could have been way better if you just had one single plot and you weren't trying to tie in so much shit. Episode, like for example, when I kind of went back and tried to re-listen to some of the podcasts just so I could remember what we were talking about back then of a couple months ago. But like episode 2 could have been so much better if they just were like, hey, this is an Anakin and Obi-Wan story. But then they started piling shit into it that like didn't need to be in it, and it just didn't make any sense. So like,
I think George Lucas must have really felt that he had to have that like Anakin and Padme like character development, I guess.
Yeah, because like one of the things I said was, what if they just made a Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi like buddy cop sort of situation? He's like the old veteran, or kind of like on the way of becoming a veteran, and Anakin's kind of the renegade rookie, like, you know, and he's training him. It could have been way better. Like that whole beginning sequence was great. Them chasing after the person, them trying to get, was fine. But then it just kind of went downhill.
Like part of the whole movie.
Yeah, and it happens in there like literally the first half an hour. Whereas Rogue One just was like, okay, this is a Star Wars movie. It's exactly why The Mandalorian, I think, is great in being a part of the Star Wars universe. It doesn't have anything to, okay, so The Mandalorian's a little more on the, we have nothing to really do with the rest of the saga. We're just kind of our own show, but they implement very little. This definitely implements a little bit more because they try to connect it to 4. But Rogue One is like, we're just gonna make a cool, like, top secret mission movie with these characters, and then they're just gonna be gone.
Yep. And it's a very simple story, easy to understand. It's not out there at all. With, you know, I think some people think that, you know, like Rise of the Skywalker got a little out there with some of the Force stuff. I think some of the sequel movies in general. So this is just like back to basic Star Wars, kind of.
Yeah. And even then, there's no Force stuff that happens until the very end of the movie.
Right.
It's just, this is just a space movie that has something to do with Star Wars. And to me, this is why I think you can make a Star Wars movie without, like, as when I saw Rogue One, I was like, it confirmed to me that you can make a Star Wars movie and not have to do with any of the saga. Very lightly, but you know what I mean. Like, it had something to do with the saga, but for the most part, it didn't have anything to do with it. Like, none of the characters make an appearance later. They all freaking die, and it's over. Like, those characters are done. How did you feel about them all dying, though, when you saw it the first time?
You know, the first time, it did rub me a little the wrong way, because then it started to feel like, well, at this point we hadn't seen Solo, but kind of like how we feel after Solo, where, you know, like, it's like an unnecessary, you don't have to watch it. With all the characters dying, it kind of felt the same way a little bit, but it does definitely redeem itself at the very end with Vader and Leia tying that into New Hope.
So when I saw it the first time with and they all died, I was a little bit bummed too. But I think that I did see this movie twice. And when I saw it the second time, I was like, it is fine. I was fine. I think it was because I went in with more expectation, because at the time we didn't know who Rey's mom was, and all we saw was that this woman was going to be the main character of, and she was British, and she and Rey's British, so maybe there's some sort of thing. And then when she dies, you're like, there
goes that thread.
Yeah, I guess she's not,
Yeah, I remember that there was a lot of speculation about, like, who she could be, and I remember they had the screenshot of her, like, on the base when she like takes the outfit with, like, the two. They look like batons, like we were talking about before. They're probably like the flying things, the like direct aircraft. But I remember there was a lot of speculation, like she might be like a lot bigger character than she ended up turning out to be. So that was kind of disappointing.
But speaking of not disappointing, that was a bad segue. But here's what we're gonna do. You mentioned a little bit earlier about the Vader scene. Let's talk about the Vader scene. At the very end of the movie, everything is literally coming to this big giant climax of the movie, and you think it's over, that all of our characters have sadly died, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, so this is the end of the movie, because it goes, and then you hear woo, 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 and then they're like, okay, well, like, we got the plans, and then he runs over, he gets to the door, and then all of a sudden it just goes, no, there's nothing, there's no sound.
Yeah, you have no idea what's gonna happen.
You're like, oh boy, here we go, this is it.
It's so perfect, just how like how Vader always, his lightsaber comes out so slow, it's so controlled.
Yeah, and you just so tell me, the first time you saw this, how was that making you feel?
I was pretty ecstatic. Yeah, because like you said, like the movie seemed like it was coming, like it was in its falling act kind of. It was kind of setting up the end of the movie, and there was nothing in the trailers about that scene. And it's kind of what everybody always wanted. Everybody always wants to see Darth Vader being a badass, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And it's a very short scene, but it's super effective.
Yeah, I think it's obviously that's definitely Vader's best scene of the whole of all Star Wars movies. I think of the whole entire franchise, that's Vader's coolest moment, because it's just timed perfectly, it's beat to beat, it gets you into the mood again of like how cool Darth Vader actually is, and
they
how
had to remind you.
Yeah,
like, you may have forgot.
Yeah, and so essentially he just kills everybody. But then it sets up, obviously the big lead at the very end that we were hinted to towards the middle of the movie. But yes, the plans do eventually get past the Princess Leia, thus starting A New Hope, which I think she even says, like, what is this gonna bring? And she says, like, it's gonna be hope or something like that, or new.
Yep.
She essentially drops the name, and
their favorite tagline, the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, that's essentially the movie, and I mean, let's just I guess we go into IMDb Corner here.
Sure.
I'll rattle some of these things off. We're gonna head into taglines. One of my favorite things here. Taglines are the selling things that you put on the poster to sell the movie. It is usually a phrase. Sometimes they're a little bit longer. And I'm noticing that IMDb has moved a lot of their stuff around, and I'm not very happy about it, but I did find it. Rogue One has 2. Number 1, a rebellion built on hope. And number 2, save the rebellion, save the dream.
I think that's Forrest Whitaker's line.
Save the rebellion.
Yep, exactly that.
Do you have IMDb loaded up?
I do.
Okay, you have trivia. You have trivia.
Trivia. Let me go back, scroll up.
I can also run by the quotes if you would like, or you got it.
I think I got it.
It should be where did you know?
Oh, see more. Okay, I was trying to figure out how do I expand this.
Yeah, you just click on it. Well, you just click on trivia, and then you should be.
Okay, so here's I'll read the second one or third one down on here. So R2-D2 and C-3PO have a brief cameo, making Anthony Daniels the only actor to appear in every movie.
Huh.
He appears as another character in Solo: A Star Wars Story.
I think I remember that.
Remember what character that is.
But he's not in suit. He's out of suit.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do 4. So give me on to number 2.
All right, I think this one we kind of knew already, but maybe others, I don't know. The footage of some of the X-Wing pilots, especially Red and Gold Leader, including a call sign exchange, are originally deleted footage from the Death Star attack shot for Star Wars Episode 4, but digitally cut into the footage shot for this film.
Which is cool, because then that way, when you watch Episode 4, you know, this is Red Leader, this is Gold Leader, this is, kind of those things.
Right.
All right.
Consistent.
Number 3. Are you just kind of skimming them right now?
Keeping the same. Yeah, I am. During the final battle, Red 5's X-Wing is shot down and the pilot is killed. This call sign is then reassigned to Luke Skywalker.
Oh, well, there you
that's
go.
how we kind of figure out the backstory of how he gets his call sign.
Mm-hmm. And the last one, number 4. And I got the quotes loaded up here too.
So the Rebel base at Yavin 4 features several full-size cardboard cutouts of X-Wings and Y-Wing fighters, using the same technique of filling out the hangar as in the original Star Wars Episode 4. That's kind of neat. I see some big pieces of cardboard.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Full-size cardboard cutouts. Wow.
All right. Time for quotes. This is Saw Gerrera.
Gerrera, yep.
Yeah. To young Jin. Wait, so that's Forrest Whitaker's character?
Yes.
Okay. He goes, "My child, come, come. We have a long ride ahead of us." um, I'll do three of them. Number two, this is between Jin and Cassian. Jin, uh, what's with the destroyer? Cassian, it's because of your old friend Saw Gerrera. He's been attacking the cargo shipments. Jin, what are they bringing in? Cassian, it's what are they taking out? Kyber crystal? Are they all they can get? We wondered why they were stripping the temple. Now we know it's the fuel for the weapon. It's really weird how that's really written really weird, because it's like, what are they taking out is quoted, and then he goes into his line, which is really weird. So, I don't know. Number three, this is from Cassian again. I had a contract, one of Saw's rebels, but he's just gone missing. His sister will be looking for him. I wonder why. It says 3 out of 3 found that interesting, but like, it's just some weird quotes that people wrote here.
Oh, I forgot he had a sister.
One of Saw's rebels.
It says his sister will be looking for him?
Yes. But it's sister of... Okay, I had a contract, one of Saw's rebels, but he's gone missing. Oh, so the contract went missing, and his sister is looking for him. His sister will be looking for him. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, she is in Clone.
That what?
She is in the Clone Wars series, but yeah, it's I guess it kind of keeps her in the canon in the films a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All right, tech specs, Nate. What do we got?
All right. So sound mix, yeah, looks pretty modern. Dolby Digital, Atmos, DTS, DTS-X. Looks like the film was officially 133 minutes, which is 2 hours and 13 minutes. Yeah, it looks like it was recorded at 6.5K was the source format, and then they mastered it at 4K.
Good grief.
And with Dolby Vision.
So now we know why it looks a little bit different.
Yep.
Because it was shot on different. It was shot on a different millimeter film, I believe.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So is this all digital? Was this not?
I think it was all
printed
digital.
Film format, but that's for IMAX.
Okay, I'm looking at tech specs for like episode 1 right now. So go ahead if there's anything else that you'd wanna.
Yeah, no, camera they use is a
that's right.
Arri Alexa 65, but I don't see anything else interesting.
That's what I thought. All of the other ones are shot on 35 millimeter film.
Interesting.
Because
so
I think that's why. Yeah.
Are all digital.
Which may be the reason why they all look different. Because now I'm looking at Solo here. Try and see the tech specs for that. That was shot completely on digital.
Okay.
It doesn't even say the or it's not listing.
That's probably a main difference with the sequel trilogy, which I think those are all on film.
Yeah, because JJ wanted to shoot on 35 millimeter, so that's why those movies look somewhat the same as episode 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the movie to quickly access episode 8, so I'm not going to do that. But I think Rian Johnson changed it for that film. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So that's it. That's all the IMDb corner that we got for you. Let's head into the review. Nate, give it to me. What are we going with? What are you gonna give it? But explain, paint me a picture here.
So I was going back and forth on this one. It almost feels like cheating but I mean, I guess it'll all be cheating with all the movies because we've seen them so many times. But I'm ultimately, I think I'm gonna give it a pretty high score.
Okay.
So I've settled on a 9.
Okay.
So and the reason I settled on 9 was ultimately your scale.
Yep.
That we use in Primal Target, because I feel like it does make it into the must-have category.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're probably gonna own Rogue One.
Yes.
And that's what put it to me over. Because I was thinking maybe like an 8.7, just to put it maybe a little bit above 3. But yeah, ultimately settled with a flat 9 just to get into that must-have category.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I am definitely gonna give it a 9 as well. I think that, like I said, the movie is you did make some good points. It's a little bit kind of slower to getting into, but I mean, it's trying to introduce all these characters and immediately, because they're not going to be around long enough to give you
Right.
exposition later on. So there, the one thing I think that could have made this movie better is if it didn't have anything to do with the saga, but
Really?
in that also, they used that in a fantastic way, though. Even though it did incorporate the rest of the saga and it had to end the way it ended, they did it in a way that was still entertaining enough to be a great sci-fi movie, a great Star Wars movie, and without having any Jedi in it unless you count Darth Vader. Like, he's the only lightsaber wielding guy in the whole entire movie.
Right.
So to that, it is a must-have movie, and it probably is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. It might, I mean, as of right now, it is considered my favorite one until we watch the rest of the saga. And who knows if it will beat a 9, but I think a 9 is a fair shot.
Giving the other ones a chance, huh?
Well, not only that, but I mean, there are some moments in the movie that I
Yeah.
would say maybe give it a higher 9. But like, there are other moments where it kind of knocks it back down to just a regular 9. And where, as on our scale, a 9 to 9.9 is a must have. And then if you're curious, an 8 to 8.9 is marvelous. But I think that, and a 10 is groundbreaking, and it definitely isn't breaking any new grounds. Obviously, it's a sequel, so you can't really break new grounds into a sequel. But there are moments that a sequel can do that. For example, Aliens, we did give a 10 to. It redefined what that movie franchise was. That's why Aliens is so much better than Alien. And this movie just doesn't really get to that point, but it does solid itself into being a part of that Star Wars franchise. So 9 from me.
Yeah.
Which does give it a 9 from Primal Target. So
Pretty nice round score there.
yep. So with that said, that means at number 1 is Rogue One. At number 2 is Star Wars Episode 3. At number 3 is Solo. At number 4 is Star Wars Episode 1. And at number 5 is Star Wars Episode 2. And if you want to know what those ratings were, Rogue One is at a 9. Star Wars Episode 3 is at a 8.2, which is a marvelous movie. Solo is at a 7.9, which gives it a worthy movie. Just shy of the marvelous rating. Star Wars Episode 1 was rated at a 7, or I'm sorry. 7.3, which gives it a marvelous rating as well. And Star Wars Episode 2 at a 6.7, which means borrow the movie, but not necessarily, you don't really got to own it. It's not that great of a movie to buy it, but it's good to just watch it maybe once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think we're in a good spot. I mean, I think most Star Wars fans would agree with that ranking. Some people might put 3, above Solo, but
3 is above Solo.
Nothing controversial yet.
3 is above Solo.
I mean, Rogue One. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So any
But
final...
I don't think nothing too No, I mean, going off of your thoughts, I do think one other thought I had was, and Rogue One is a great starting point for Star Wars fans, because it has nothing to do. None of the characters are related to any of the previous prequel characters, and the fact that it goes right into 4, which we'll watch next. I think it's just thinking about it in my head now, I'm like, man, that would actually be a good movie to start out with if it was a new person that hasn't seen Star Wars before.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, you know what? I might agree with you on that. I think watching Rogue One is probably a good the prequels, keep those as the prequels, unless you're doing what we're doing, obviously. But you're gonna show this for this movie, if you show Rogue One, you're showing a modern movie that if someone that is hesitant to watch Star Wars anyway, Rogue One is modernly filmed. So, you know, you're going to get those kind of speedy moments. And then you're going to go in episode 4 and it's going to be kicked off right from the last movie and might have some slower moments because it's a 70s movie, but it still gives you're already invested at that point.
Right.
And then you get into 5 and then you get into 6 and then you go on. But
yeah, you know, if they don't like Rogue One, they probably don't like Star Wars.
that's probably true because it's a lot of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you see Vader's part. That's literally the ice. Yeah. That is literally the cherry on top of this movie.
And it's good. It'll show people why a lot of people like Darth Vader because they might not understand from the original trilogy when he's just standing and walking around.
Yeah, because back then you could have just a menacing looking person, but then in this movie, he's like almost peak Vader because of how evil he is in this movie.
Yeah.
Because once he starts meeting Luke and all of them, that's when he starts to be like, "Oh yeah,
more conflicted."
Yeah, but we won't get into that just yet. So,
it's for another episode.
Yeah. Speaking of another episode, what is our homework for next time?
We got Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope.
Yep.
Should be interesting. Getting into back to the original ones here.
Yep. So that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, comment section is open to you. What did you guys think of Rogue One? Yeah, we will see you guys in the next video. Check out the end card if you're watching the YouTube version of this and see what 2 random videos that we got for you. Hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you hit subscribe and also rate us by you rating it. Puts us into the ether and the algorithms and whatnots and helps us out. Yeah, so that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. My name is Ryan.
I'm Nate.
There you go. Don't worry, Ashton doesn't get it either. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Good night, everybody.